episode 372 of TrueHouse with me, Justin House. I think, dare I say, I'm getting better at these wretched thumbnails, this awful process, and I say it every single night. Say it with me, it's incredibly tedious to hear me say this, but look, I know I'm very conscious of the way this old man looks these days. You know, I'm 49, I look at least that. I think I look probably 55, 59 around there if I saw myself in the street. Worrying, but whatever. I used to be very accomplished with dealing with cameras when I was 20 years younger. It's hard to believe looking at me now, of course, but I used to do, certainly when I had more of a jawline and hair, I used to do modelling in London with more than a few agencies, and yeah, I had no qualms about looking at the camera, and we didn't use language like pouting and stuff, and, you know, oh, what's it called, that Ben Stiller film, shit, what's the Ben Stiller film, something blue, I don't know, damn, I've forgotten what the freaking film was called now, the one where Ben Stiller's a model. Zoolander. Anyway, yeah, just right. I'm going to try and move these cameras a little bit. Okay, just bear with me. Right, let's see what I can achieve. I don't know how wise this is going to be. But while there's literally no one around, it makes sense to do this. I know it sounds daft, but it's really quite a decent way of doing it when yeah, when there's, you know, people are just coming in, they're just filing in. Anyway, so look, I mean, it's worth talking about this subject, okay? It is. I mean, I don't want to. Number one, look, let's just do an annoying caveat, okay? So I'll get this out of the way. Things, all right, come on, Justin, choose your words carefully. No, or not, actually, just having words to myself while I stream. The bottom line is that there are substantial changes occurring, and it's very easy for a single voice just is shouting into the void, you know, at best, what am I? You know, there's a couple of thousand subs on my YouTube channel, which is infinitesimally small, and I'm a single voice shouting into the void. Oh, hello, there's somebody there. So insofar as what do you buy, what do you believe? I mean, when I say buy, I mean what do you believe, what narrative do you believe? Because I sure as shit have to, for my own sanity, take everything with a colossal proverbial pinch of salt. What I mean by this, look, if you're into legacy, mainstream, old school news, if you go to your designated screen, okay, let's just call it a screen. Like I say, this is episode 372 for God's sake, so I've said it literally hundreds of times. I don't have a TV, that's intentional. I don't want a TV. I'm very phone centric. I'm a smartphone geek. You know, the danger for me is I don't want to turn on a television set. Each their own. I have, you know, I know people that have got preposterous TV screens, and good for you. I can understand cinematically why, you know, there's nothing better than being in the comfort of your own home, watching a great movie with wonderful cinematography, you know, which is rich, good, you know, a great Chris Nolan film, good storytelling, etc., etc., good screenplay with wonderful score, you know, like a Hans Zimmer score, and you know, good cinematography. I get that. Oh, you know, a 60, 70 inch screen, I get that. But I haven't got that, and I go for the, you know, I will invariably be this guy, so let me just move the mic. So, I'll be using just typical Joby. I mean, this is, I'm currently running a few phones. I mean, that's a 12 Pro Max, that's an S21 Ultra. This is a OnePlus 9 Pro. I've got a 7T Pro. So I've got a couple of OnePluses. Like I say, the two OnePluses I own are this one, the 9 Pro and the 7T Pro, and my two contract phones are the Samsung S21 Ultra and the 12 Pro Max iPhone. Yes, an iOS device and 3 Androids there. Obviously, I'm looking forward to the Google 6 Pro, of course. So I enjoy my smartphones, and I watch them in a pretty much like a VR mode, if you like. So, lights out. I'll watch, typically speaking, 1 to 4 films a week, and I'll be, just getting that sort of immersive experience in a dark room, and then in my bedroom. And so long as your field of view, you're looking at said screen, and buds or whatever you're using it's quite a nice experience. And anyway, I'm at the point now where, and I know I'm being very, very convoluted about how I get to the crux of this conversation, but I'm at the point now where if I dare to just scroll down Google, I'm not going to say the full word because it'll set off obviously Assistant. I've got the Assistant on all the devices, so the minute I start saying "Hey Google," there you go. So.
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that. Yeah, here are other things you can try.
Serves me right, doesn't it? So the minute I use Hey Goog, and look at the daily news, you've got the dilemma of a few narratives. Do you know what I mean? You've got mainstream, what is mainstream legacy news? Let's say you're having a conversation with your partner, colleague. Let's just make this in your, what I'm going to posit as a prospect, what I'm going to offer to you is this as a conversation. Let's say, look, I'm 49, okay? I live on my own. I am very much a nomadic hermit, whatever you want to call me, whatever deposit box of intersectionality and compartmentalization you socially require, cisgendered, white, middle-aged bloke, been on isolation, lockdown since the 9th of March last year, yada, 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 it's boring. But what about if you've got a partner, wife, colleague, peers, family members, etc., who are completely locked down? And this is worth talking about, guys, into mainstream narratives. So invariably they're going to be politically inclined one way or t'other, whether that be, if we're in the UK, Conservative, Labour, America, Republican, Democratic. Now I watch the Blues and the Reds. Obviously it's the inversion of what we've got here. Obviously over there, Reds are Republican, Blues are Democrats, and here it's the way around, Blues are Tories and Reds are Labour. So just do the colour reversal, but their policies remain the same. So the Democrats over there are our Labour, and the Republican over there is our Tories, yeah? So that being said, ask yourself what doesn't change. So here's what I'm going to propose to you, dear avid listener. When you see, I'm going to deal with America, okay? Just because it's fucking America, isn't it? It's like, bang, America, it's the West. When you've got 4 admins, 4 administrations, no, 5 even, I know you've got Bush, Clinton, Obama, Trump. Yeah, let's get it right, look at the chronology here. How did it go? Did it go Bush, Clinton, or Clinton, Bush? Or Bush, Clinton, Bush? Anyway, in no particular order, Bush, Clinton, Obama, or should I say, yeah, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, and now Biden. If they had actually different policies, people like Edward Snowden, who I am a fan of, or Julian Assange, would be released. So ask yourself this, and it's the same as the mirror is here as well in the UK. What they'll do, and we've seen it with as Sean Hannity said, the American sort of news reader, with regard to sippy cup, which I think is very funny. Sippy cup Joe Biden, because my memories of a sippy cup when I was a kid, and of course it makes you think of, you're a baby when you're tiny and you're a baby when you're 90, senility, isn't it? Hence the term sippy cup. If someone like Joe Biden and Trump, which are, so diametrically opposed, aren't they? It's like, oh yes, bear in mind, I'm 49, like I say, and Joe Biden's been in Washington for my lifetime. He went into Washington in 72, the year of my birth. So for those 49, let's have it right, 5 decades, Biden has been in Washington. So don't, for heaven's sake, think that now he's going to drop the hammer with something wonderfully, inventive, and it's going to just smash apart the holy, it's going to be the holy grail of politics and just completely steer the country in a different direction. If Trump didn't change it, and prior to Trump, Barack Obama didn't, and prior to Obama, it would have been Bush, I think. And, the fundamental policies do not change. Don't worry, there's no danger of this podcast, this live stream being all about politics. It's not. Thematically, I try and go, macro stuff Monday, more, what did I write down recently? I've been trying to change the themes, actually. Truthful Tuesday, Wired Wednesday, Throwdown Thursday, a bit more combative, UFC, boxing, etc. on Thursday, either philosophical or phenomenal Friday. So, things will get a bit more ethereal on Fridays, Wednesday, typically Wired, Monday, Tuesday, the bigger conversations like this. Just trying to keep the sort of, again, it's themes, it's thematically trying to keep the live stream. Whenever someone comes on camera, we'll just do the split screen thing and off we go. But you will have people in your family, whether they, I will hazard a guess, yes, that you will have people in your family, whether you're looking at your partner now or whoever, could be a gobby 19-year-old kid, whatever, and they've got these political narratives that it's ingrained into their psyche, isn't it? Insofar as they watch Channel 4 or they watch BBC. Like, I never bring him into these live streams because I swore I wouldn't do it, and I won't do it because of the respect I have for him, and also it's important that I exercise discretion. But I don't mention, other than saying I've got a brother, I don't mention any details about my brother in terms of his name or what he does or anything, because that's correct. Other than mentioning his kidneys in me, that my transplant actually turns 8 years old on the 19th. So I am but days away from my transplant. I only had a brief 4 years on dialysis, thank God. I got away lightly, but anyway, I digress. Like I say, the kidney came from him, and I'm very, very grateful. I don't bring him into the live stream because he doesn't, he does. His profession is such that he shouldn't be in an arena like this. And I know he subscribes to, hello mate, you're right. I know he subscribes to the mainstream narrative. So the issue is, oh shit, God, it's so sensitive, this screen. Just waving at someone, no, fuck it, I'll give up. Hello Lee, sorry. But that's what I'm basically offering up for debate. Is I did. I'm looking at 2 little notebooks here actually. I did. I was just going to mention the G7 summit. Again, if I dare mention the G7 summit, which we had for I don't know, whatever it was, 2 or 3 days. And of course, what's doing the rounds now on the news that I've just been gassing about, in this zeitgeist we're in, we're seeing again the pollution comes from. Let me check this diary here. I've got a black one and a brown one. If you think I'm lying, see, look, I've got like this one, just little books that I take notes in for my little mind. This gives you an idea of the shit I write down. Okay, just like on hit myself in the nose on the daily. My nose always makes me jump. I'm always like that. If I bash my nose, I'm like, oh, it makes me jump. It's like You wouldn't think it for the number of times that got broke. The orthodoxy, the ideology, the minority activists are so aggressive, so loud, so vocal. That's why the majority are sadly yielding. What do I mean by that? So, you know that old saying about whoever, I'm going to fuck this up, but the old saying about whoever shouts loudest, or, you know, and this is what we're seeing now, aren't we? That, you know, any sane, logical thinking person knows that 9 out of 10 people, if you were to walk down the bloody street in the UK, the US, let's just say the West, and grab 9 random people and say, what do you believe? What do you subscribe to? You know, do you believe the Earth is flat? Do you believe we landed on the moon? Do you believe, you know, people have profited from COVID? Do you believe that there's been a lot of scaremongering? Do you believe in the propaganda that's been going on? Do you believe that mainstream media, legacy media as it's called, that's the correct term, legacy media, namely the regular TV channels, are bent, perverse, corrupt, disgusting, sick fucks, twisted with their political narrative, which is severely, you know, the needle is going towards wokeism, isn't it? This disgusting purity testing and virtue signalling that seems to be a nationwide pastime, and therein lies the problem. Seems to be. What I'm talking about, to be specific, what I'm saying here is optics. So the optics of, and as the word optics suggests, what we see. So the optics of a Boris, of a Biden, of the news, and this is where the danger lies, right? So a dickhead like me, as I've mentioned earlier, not a TV guy, I haven't got a TV, but I'll get a device, I'll get a phone, one of my phones, scroll away, Google News, said Google, right? And I'll look at the headlines, I'll look at the damn headlines. World leaders, G7 summit. And because the algorithm at Google obviously knows my personal taste, which it does, it learns every person's footprint. I guarantee if you're into cats or football or flower making or macrame or whatever, you know, the algorithmically it's intelligent enough to know through repeated visits, through repeated search. I suppose that's the most basic form of AI, isn't it? The machine learning, the ML, as a lot of, you know, the technocracy powers that be, someone like a Jack Dorsey at Twitter, or Zuckerberg, or should I say Fauciberg at Insta/Facebook, or of course Susan Wojcicki at YouTube. That's what they would refer to, the power of their algorithm, that you've got people like myself that left their own devices. What's Justin House going to search for on a blank screen? Well, I'm going to look at phones, I'm going to look at training, I'm going to look at motorbikes, I'm going to look at movies, I'm going to look at travel, I'm going to look at architecture, etc., etc. Do you know what I mean? These, you know, it's like if you go into my Pinterest account and look at what I instinctively, intrinsically root out. Do I like world history and, you know, what was happening in Mesopotamia? You know, how was the Middle East formed? Look at the massive impact of religion. Look at my love of the smartphone, you know, juxtaposed with ancient history and my obsession with smartphones. And then of course my back history, my backlog would be, oh, Justin's done, you know, skateboarding and ice skating and motorbiking and bodybuilding, and do you know what I mean? On the surface, I would say people who shout get their way. However, when things come to the vote, it shows they don't always get what they want. Look at Brexit. What a point, Lee, because that... What was it in the end? What was the number? What was the damn number? Because, do you know what? I mean, I remember what Boris ran on, you know, 3 words, wasn't it? Very slogan orientated. His entire campaign was get Brexit done. If you remember, and this is very, 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 very recent history that's been crushed by COVID. And, you know, we've often spoken about this on this stream because when I say they, I am being very specific. I'm not nebulous in the narrative insofar as, what I mean by nebulous is very, very vague. I'm not vague, and like if you speak to your friend in the pub, if you speak to your friend at work or your friend online, they, your friend or your colleague or your person in your family will talk about they're doing this, and when you push them on it and you say, who do you mean? Who are you actually referring to? Who is they? Air quotes, they. And they say, well, it's the government, isn't it? And they're, oh no, who? Who in the government? Who in the government? In Washminster. It's just a hybrid of Westminster and Washington, isn't it? Who in the government is pushing this? Who is saying to the journalist? Who is ensuring that when you look at an ITV or a BBC or a Channel 4 that those damn newsreaders are saying certain things? Now, when Brexit was pushed through and Boris was all like, get Brexit done, slogan, get Brexit done, which is very Tory, it's very unconservative. In fairness, Boris was behaving in the same charged way. I know it was Dominic Cummings, wasn't it? Boris was behaving in the way that a Neil Kinnock or an Arthur Scargill would have in the day against Thatcher, when it was true working class, the miners, against the soft southern posh champagne bastards, as they were called, the Thatcher, conservatives. And the perception is, as Lee's point, is we are shouting about a minority group. I jumped on Biden's Twitter page today, and I did vomit in my mouth. No, I'm being pedantic, but Biden's Twitter page was the Pride logo. LGBTQAAIIIQ. It's grown. I even posted it somewhere today. But the rainbow has grown. So not content with commandeering LGBT. The hilarity of these movements, whether they be, well, they are left, aren't they? Whether it's Brexit or Extinction Rebellion or LGBT Pride, the reality of these movements is, if you're going to use an acronym, if you're going to use, I don't know, I can't think of an acronym at the moment. I don't know, whatever, COP, right? Citizens on Patrol, whatever. Oh God, my mind's gone completely blank just thinking about acronyms. CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, yeah, FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, so on, right? The idea of an acronym is that it's short. The idea of an acronyms are 3 or 4 letters, right? But LGBTQAIIIQ, they're getting into the realm of 10, and it's growing. So they're commandeering most of the alphabet, and various comedians have done bits on this very subject, and rightly so. But as per your point, Lee, we are seeing people. Oh God, I've got these new hats, and they're really good because they're these. Let me show you. They're these flex fit ones. I don't like baseball, just as a random. I don't like baseball caps with an exposed back. And the good thing about these flex fit ones, my head's too small for an XL, and if I buy a small medium, it's too big. So I'm a large. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, a large. They fit, but it's just the front bit that's went while they're new, and it gives me quite a thing on there while I start to wear, but I can't not wear them. They all came through Amazon really cheap. They got about 5 different colours, but these are the best ones. These flex fit ones, these are the really nice. Anyway, I must persevere. So the loudest being heard, this is bloody concerning. This is really concerning, because what were we taught in school? We were taught in school, you know, don't shout, don't bully, don't, you know, you were taught to talk and discuss and debate and you know, the whole idea as you're growing up as a kid into being an adult is that you learn some fucking manners and you don't scream and shout and stamp your feet and you don't. But now the people being heard are the loudest, the voices of dissension, the people that are, you know, why are we seeing wonderful lecturers? And I have to say, whether you're a fan of Jordan Peterson or not, but people like Professor Jordan B. Peterson, obviously he's, you know, written a few books now, etc., or whoever, these public figures that are so ubiquitous, they're so highly profiled. They've, you know, gone into that stratosphere courtesy of Joe Rogan appearing on his podcast, whether it's a Ben Shapiro or a Jordan Peterson, or, you know, fill in the gap. And these people go whoosh, and they are then subsequently attacked by kids, and I mean kids, I mean 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids at Oxford, Cambridge, whatever, you know, all the American universities. And what are they called? They're called fascists by an extremely loud, vocal, shouty, screamy, you know, stamping their feet minority. And we, society, are bowing down to minority. The most obvious example I can give right now would be Meghan Markle and Piers Morgan. And whether you like Piers Morgan or not, Piers Morgan, I personally think he's funny. I'm not saying, you know, he's a particularly warm, fuzzy human being. I'm sure, you know, Piers Morgan can be a bit of a prick, but I'm 100% happy to die on that hill with Piers Morgan. That is, Meghan Markle is a liar. She using wokeism, you know, under the loosely veiled under the, you know, racism bit, and her and Harry, I always struggle to remember his bloody name. Her and Harry are playing the victim card, the oppression card, the race card, or we're oppressed. Oh, by the way, we want to do our multi-million-dollar, this is where Piers Morgan's absolutely right, we want to do multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify, etc. But by the way, we want to keep our royal title. We want fuck you, fuck right off. You want to keep your royal title, have your cake and eat it, and then throw the entire royal family, whether you're a fan or not, under the bus. And what did they do with that disgusting Oprah interview? And I feel very strongly about this, actually. Whether you're into the royals or not, you don't go on global TV with a mouthpiece like Oprah and then say to the audience, you know, of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, oh, somebody in the royal family, in the monarchy, is a racist. I'm not going to say any names. It's not the Queen. Well, if it's not the Queen, that's leaving your dad, mate, Prince Charles, or your brother, William. You piece of shit. So I went off Harry very quickly. And I'm not a fan of the royal family. I suppose as a child, you know, when I was 10, I went to the Tower of London, and you know, you go on a school trip in a coach that smells of wee. I remember that, you know, very clearly, leaving school in, you know, whatever age I was, and going to Madame Tussauds, you know, the London Planetarium, just these, you know, the whole lucky school trip thing, and you know, the Natural History Museum, and yada yada yada. And I remember a certain fascination, curiosity with the royals as a Brit. And when I moved to London in the mid-90s, when I landed in Chiswick, my first year or two was in Chiswick, and you know, just down the road from Hammersmith flyover, you know, I don't know. I'm just pretty. I guess what I'm saying is, if we don't start to push back, if we don't start to go, hang on a minute, you know, we the people don't think this is right. God, I mustn't neglect the audio. You know, and if someone, I went with Dougie to see Charlie. This is related. I went with Dougie a couple of years ago to see Charlie Sheen on a night out in London on a Sunday night. Doug arranged it because he knew I'd like it. Got tickets to see Charlie Sheen. It was a night with Charlie Sheen and Piers Morgan. Okay, and it was fucking brilliant. And actually, Dougie's got the footage of me talking to Charlie Sheen. There was a audience. This is random, but it's related to Piers Morgan, I suppose. It's a random, one of these moments with the mic where the audience gets past the mic, and I before I knew it, I'd reacted, and I was first in the freaking queue. So everyone wants to ask Charlie Sheen a question, and in hindsight, I wish I'd asked Charlie Sheen a less obscure question, because I was a Charlie Sheen fan and I knew his filmography. I was like, oh, what about The Wraith and The Chase, mate? Did you enjoy filming those? And most of the audience aren't going to know those films, but they'd know Platoon and Wall Street. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose I should, Charlie knew what I was on about, but I suppose that was my way of showing Charlie Sheen that I knew his film work. But look, I saw Piers Morgan that night from a few feet away, and he's bigger than you think, actually. He's got quite a big sort of presence or a head on him. But look, Piers Morgan upsets people because they're like, oh, you're racist, but he isn't. He tells the truth like we might do in our own living rooms. I think if the fight was worth fighting, I think the silent would stand and fight. When I say fight, I don't mean, no, yeah, you're right, Lee, I agree. No, I know what you mean by fighting. It doesn't mean smashing things up, but do you know, Lee, I hope you're right, because I want you to be right. Do you know what my biggest fear is? It's ridiculous. Of course, my biggest fear is dying, isn't it? What am I talking about? I don't want to die. I want to go on forever. And I've watched death. Really, I have, but I still don't want to die. What I mean to say is, I'm concerned. Speaking as a white, cisgendered, straight, heterosexual male, as a mid, what am I? I'm a midlifer. I'm a middle-aged person. I'm frightened, Lee, that people won't push back, and I bloody agree with you, by the way, because if there was a national consensus, I like to think, and this is me being romantic now. I'm being very British. I like to think there's enough Brits in Britain to go, no, fuck you and your silly woke politics. You're not going to take away. Like, look, this is what I've got a problem with, and I really have a problem with this. I'm not a air quotes religious person insofar as I don't go to church on Sundays, and I haven't been to church for a couple of decades. And I went to Sunday school as a kid, and yada yada yada, and I learned, kumbaya, like most kids do. And got a dose of Christianity from doing the nativity at school, right, as most Brit kids do. But when we're looking at a society that's become so politically aware, so woke, that during COVID lockdown, churches were closed, gyms were closed, but strip clubs and bars were open, and off licenses were open. Now, if that's not pushing humans off the edge, I don't know what is. Do you see the promotion there? It's almost as if, and I know this from the American market more so than the English market, that you've got law enforcement in America, actual coppers, and there's plenty of footage on YouTube of actual police arresting and pushing away people from going to church. But hey, you can go and take crack cocaine and go and do a hooker and go and see a strip club and go to the off license. They're all good clean habits. That's the problem. The thing about the silent is they work on their own agenda and think for themselves, where the noise you're more like to, oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah, we are dealing with, we are, I don't want to get too fucking downbeat about this, but it's a sheeple thing. People take the path of least resistance, and people are too agreeable. And you know, like, look, on this subject, I was texting the wife of my friend Sean just via Messenger today. As I've mentioned to you, Lee, you know, there's two couples in America, John and Tamara in Daytona and Sean and Heidi in Cape Coral. So I've got two husband and wife couples in Florida that I've known for, gosh, John and Tamara since 2000, so 21 years. Sean, early 90s. So, like I say, it's two sets of couples, both separated by about 290, 300 miles or so is the distance from Daytona Beach to Cape Coral. Both places you'd happily live. I mean, my goodness, you know. And they could be their own country, like Texas. What do I mean by this? The UK fits in Texas 2.5 times, could be 3 times. Florida ain't small. In terms of migration, people are going in throngs. People are going in you know, yeah, people are going en masse to Florida and to Texas. The Joe Rogan move, you know, go to Texas. Why? Because they're red states. And I know that's an inversion from our system. We'll see here, red is Labour. In America, red is Republic. So Republican red is like our Tory blue, right? Just the colour inversion. So the equivalent of the American Republics is our Conservative, our Tories, and the equivalent of the American Democrats, their blue, is our red, yeah, Labour. Corbyn and Starmer and all those dickheads. So when I've got Heidi saying, Sean's wife, saying to me, Justin, Florida should be, due to Ron DeSantis, who's a fantastic governor of California, who's my age. You see, this is encouraging when you've got a governor of California, a state governor in charge on TV every day. He's a young man, you know, he's my age. Let's face it, a politician that's my age, 49, I think he could be 48 actually, in a suit, that's good. That's good. Anyone under 70, brilliant, brilliant, bring it on. Do you know what I mean? This is the problem. You know, you look at Biden as well, just these old, decrepit, fucking, you know, any man under 50 in a suit, whether they be UK or US politician, that's encouraging. You know, she was saying what you're saying here about really, and I said it in a message to her. I said, look, there should be a condition, it should be a prerequisite that if you're going to flee your blue state, your Democrat state, because you'll flee the cities, because Biden and the whole Democrats have just, through wokeism, ruined your state. So let's say you are fleeing Washington or wherever, and you're running invariably to a red state, a Republican state. So the very reason that the likes of Joe Rogan have fled California, have fled Vegas, Los Angeles, you know, these great spots, because they're so blue, they're so Biden, they're so, you know, you've got hiked up rates, you know, taxes, building taxes, just everything's massively propped up and overly inflated. I don't know. It's you know, would you know, to go back to the reason why I'm mentioning Florida and Texas as breakaway states, to your point, Lee, is actually a thing called secession. And if you look up the word secession, not succession, but to secede, to separate, to leave, to break away from. Now, there's a very real chance, and I actually encourage this, I wish it would sort of happen here in the UK, if someone said, look, you know, lads, you'll not have to suffer any more woke culture, any more political correctness bullshit. You know, you can't say the colour, well, Justin's wearing a brown shirt for fear of being, oh, you're a racist. You know, let's face it, now apparently I'm a racist just when I draw a breath. I mean, this is the problem. The actual race, I will get on my soapbox here, the actual race haters, sheeply, like you say, are white folk. You know, I find it discriminatory and deeply, deeply disturbing that in their attempts to score social brownie points on social media, in their attempts to appear, culturally, politically correct, cultural appropriation, how dare you have cornrows or dreads in your hair, man, only black folk can do that if you were born in Jamaica, I can't stand white people faking black, and or vice versa. Actually, I don't care. Well, actually, I don't care. There you go. I don't care. Whatever floats your boat, whatever But and I saw this in Metro, and you know this, Lee, from Metro. The number of white boys in it. Do you know what I mean? On blood, on my life in it. Talking like that in it, like my thing. I'm like, what are you talking like, mate? Why are you trying to talk like that, blood? Why are you trying to talk my life? Why are you trying to talk like that, like you're some Jamaican yardie, and you couldn't be more white. You couldn't be more Anglo-Saxon, Caucasian, white. And you're talking like in it, like, what I mean, bruv, blood. I'm like, why are you talking in it? Why are you talking like that? That's not how you were raised to be talking. And we saw a lot of it at Metro, and it's become a thing, and it's really funny when I see it down here in Bournemouth, because Bournemouth is a sleepy town. Bournemouth, Dorset, is a seaside town, it's a beach town. It was always known, as I was growing up, as blue rinse grannies, those grannies with the blue purple hair, a retirement place where people come to dine. Beautiful forests, beautiful beaches, widely known, Bournemouth and Poole, as having the greatest coastline in the UK. And yes, it does. Crystal clear water, sands, beaches, whatever. It's very, very clean. Very, very lucky to be being raised here. But my point is, why are we seeing why are we seeing such no, of course I like diversion. Be nice if people would just be human rather than worrying about where we're. Well, yes, I mean, the great late, depends on your opinion, the late great MLK, Martin Luther King, and I'm going to butcher the quote, but the quote was, and I always get this wrong, I have a dream, and that you judge us on the content of our character. I look forward to the day when all of humankind, or mankind, dare he say mankind or humankind, when we as humans can be judged on the content of our character, not, I repeat, not, as per your point here, not the colour of our skin. And that was the famous Martin Luther King, I have a dream. I have a dream, and again, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not doing verbatim word, letter, perfect, I'm paraphrasing when Martin Luther King said the dream is for people to be not judged on the colour of their skin, but on the content of their character. Fast forward 60, 70, 60 years, whatever, to the modern time of 2020 and 2021, and we're back there. This is why I laugh in the face of progressivism. When I hear a lefty, a liberal lefty progressive saying, oh, I'm a woke person, I'm so progressive, I'm like, don't you mean regressive? Don't you mean you're regressing, you prick? Because you're now in 2021 saying, top of the bill for me, white man and heterosexual, therefore racist. But you don't know the first thing about me. You don't know the first thing about me. You are absolutely judging me on the colour of my skin and not the content of my character. So the very people pushing the narrative of, let's be anti-racist and let's prevent, racism is systemic. It's in the police force, it's in the schools, it's everywhere, it's in the air. COVID is that's the other thing, WAP, isn't it? Weaponized and politicized. If you said, and this is the beautiful thing about this COVID-19 truth coming out now about the Wuhan Center of Virology, hilarious, man. A year ago, no, I stand corrected, 4 months ago, if a person like me well, I was removed off Instagram with my tiny audience, but if a person, sorry, I blew at the table, if a person like me said something like, the COVID virus came from a lab, right? Came from a lab. If I said that, I'd be called a conspiracy theorist. Now, because of the Fauci emails with Mark Zuckerberg, it's like, the truth has come out, so now you can say that it wasn't a zoonotic, natural nature bullshit, whatever. It was from the lab. It was from gain of function research, as the name suggests, gain of function. How through human meddling, through human intervention, can we get ourselves in a right pickle by taking a coronavirus? And don't tell me that bats are exclusive to Wuhan. There are bats here in Dorset. I see them every night. One of the great talking points that there's a Jon Stewart versus, oh God, it was funny. Oh God, I've drawn a blank. Anyway, Jon Stewart was on, bloody hell, he's completely sold out. Anyway, American chat show host, with glasses, wanker. But what got you banned on social media 4 months ago is now come out as the truth. Yeah. The thing people making the noise, but don't want equality, they argue it, but what they really want to go completely the other way. And it's the same people pushing it regardless of its race or gender. Yes, yes. That's true actually. The people beating their drum about like here's a word that's the word that's come into the that's come into our vernacular, that's come into our repertoire of words. I hate this term, it's hilarious to me. Anti-racist. Oh, you're an anti-racist. No, again, more nonsense. You're either racist, you're either an actual racist, or you're not. Don't again, it's more nonsense, actual nonsense. So, let's get this right. These people, and again, when I say these people, I mean the media, I mean left ideologues, I mean these voices very loud on social media. They've diluted words like racist, they've diluted words like rapist, they've diluted words like the N word, the nigger word, they've diluted all the, oh my God, I said it. They've diluted all these words, they've diluted the word Nazi. There you go, racist, rapist, nigger and Nazi. Oh my God, I said it before. You racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, Justin. You're going to go to hell. Good job I haven't got a big audience. I'd definitely get a massive ban. But it's just, I don't know, I'm going to crash and burn. I'm going to nod off. But you're right, Lee, they are pushing a horrible agenda. Often it's the gender agenda or the race agenda. But none, but the, hey, brilliant conversation on this note with that Carol Hooven, author of that book Testosterone with Joe Rogan at the weekend. She said, I've personally always referred to them a biological man or a biological woman, and she used the word natal. So a person, as in natal, but born, baby. If you're natally a woman or natally a bloke, there's no disputing that you were born. Just in other words, if you're a natal bloke, so you were born with testes and a penis. There you go. And you might identify. Your parents called you Frank when you were a month old. You might identify as Francis or France, whatever. Okay, all your life you might have identified as being a bird. But you just. And the problem with the gender thing is that if you're 30 years of living you're natally a man. In other words, you have penis, but you don't have a womb, you don't have a uterus, you don't have a vagina, you're not a woman. And then at 32 you say, I'm identifying as a bird now and I want to compete in the Olympics. And you basically smash people. Nothing could prove this point harder than when this woman showed in the podcast with Rogan the best women, this is crazy, best women the best women sprinters, yes, get my facts right, the fastest sprinters, just, women that can run, whatever they do, 100 metres or in record time. I forget what the distance was. Was it 100 metres or 40 metres? Anyway, world-class females, biological natal women that were their peak athletic ability were still getting crushed by 400 high school boys a year, right? Does that make sense? Yeah, I actually wrote it down. I wrote it down. I'm nodding off, I'm so tired today. I wrote this down, I've got it. Trans women, formerly blokes, should not be allowed to compete against natal females. Natal men, biological men, born a man, again, born a man, should not be allowed to compete against natal girls. If this was fair, guys, if this was fair, if the gender thing was fair, I've gone off half cock, haven't I? If this was fair about the whole, we're going to have them in athletics and, fucking soccer and gymnastics and, whatever. Look, if it was fair, you would have biological natal girls cracking into blokes' classes, wouldn't you? What I mean is, if this system was as fair as the trans people claim, you would have birds, people born natally female, plastering blokes, just taking them to the cleaners, and you don't see much of that. See what I'm saying? So, how many girls have gone into powerlifting and crushed blokes? But you sure as shit do see some big oafs, big lumps, girls who are actually blokes. There's one competing in the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, at the Olympics this year. World's fastest female sprinter, world record, gets broken. My numbers are out by 100. The world's fastest female sprinter, her record gets broken by 300 high school boys each and every year. Think about this again. So the fastest woman on the planet, the fastest Olympian on the planet, her sprint record gets busted by 300 high school boys each and every year. That's mental. That's mental. God, I'm tired tonight. It's the same people pushing it regardless if it's race or gender. You're right, Lee. You're right. You're right. It's a big old conversation. It's a constant conversation, whether we're talking our own personal feelings, whether we're talking Piers Morgan, on a national stage. The American newsreader Sean Hannity did a one-to-one yesterday, I think, or the day before, with our Piers Morgan. Look, Piers, when you're coming back to TV, sort of thing. And again, whether you like or loathe Piers Morgan, he had a very, very valid, relevant point, which is Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are wanting their royal cake and eating it. They can't call racism, the boy that cried wolf, call racism and then denounce the royal family, the complete monarchy, the heritage, by frankly throwing his father, Prince Charles, his brother William, under the bus, and then want to still be called the Duke and Duchess fucking wank of, you know, yeah, it's horrible. Tired. Oh, so tired. Crazy I get this tired. It's weird, man. What have I done? Done an hour. What was it? 9:30. Why am I extra tired today? What have I done today? What have I done today? What I will do, I'm going to change these cameras. What I'm going to do is try and put, well, I can just unbolt them and push them back. The idea being, it just allows more background in, so it's simple. I might stop this stream a minute and just shunt the cameras back that way by about a foot or two, so I'll appear smaller, and then there'll be more, you know, you can see downstream there then. I might give it a go. Lee, I totally agree, man. I totally agree. Not, you know, there's nothing worse than someone going, oh yeah, I agree, because it's just like polite to agree. But I do agree with what you're saying, because, well, I really am tired. But you're right though, Lee, it is sheeple, it is, oh look, 14 seconds, probably a good idea for me to bugger off with my little, look, the hat, the new hat must be broken in. Stiff hat. Very good quality hats, but yeah, they're a bit stiff. Oh bugger, that's the end of that then. Look, I'm going to say good night to YouTube. Oh no, I'm going to bugger off. I'm back tomorrow night. So good night. Thank you.